The year 2237 marked a pivotal shift in humanity's role in the cosmos. Captain Marcus Flynn, a seasoned explorer of the United Earth Space Corps, helmed the Perseverance, a sleek scout ship tasked with mapping the uncharted territories of the outer sectors. These missions, though often routine, were critical for Earth's expansion and security. Marcus, a man in his mid-30s with a sharp mind and a calm demeanor, had built his career on his ability to handle the unknowns of space. On what was supposed to be a standard reconnaissance mission, the Perseverance encountered something unprecedented, a massive fleet of alien ships belonging to the Varkesh, a species known through scattered reports to be both technologically advanced and aggressively expansionist. The Varkesh fleet was unlike anything humanity had encountered. Massive ships, heavily armed, seemingly preparing for a significant offensive. Realizing the gravity of the situation, Marcus attempted to steer the Perseverance away from the fleet to avoid detection. However, the Varkesh were quick to respond, deploying a squadron of fighter ships that immediately pursued the human scout. In a high-stakes chase through the asteroid fields of the Rigel-Kentaurus system, Marcus managed to execute a series of risky maneuvers, showcasing his piloting prowess. Despite his efforts, the Perseverance suffered critical hits, and the Varkesh eventually captured him and his crew. Aboard the Varkesh command ship, Marcus was separated from his team and brought before the alien commander, a towering figure known as General Krasnok. The Varkesh general saw potential use in Marcus, trying to intimidate him into revealing Earth's defensive capabilities. However, Marcus, trained for such scenarios, gave nothing away, maintaining a facade of ignorance about Earth's military strength. While imprisoned, Marcus overheard guards discussing the Varkesh's next strike, a deployment of their newest weapon, the war beasts, genetically engineered creatures designed for destruction and chaos. Realizing the catastrophic impact these beasts could have on any human colony, he knew he had to escape and warn Earth. Late one night, exploiting the shift change of his guards, Marcus managed to break free from his cell using a makeshift tool he had hidden from his captors. He navigated the labyrinthine corridors of the alien ship, stealthily avoiding patrols, until he found his way to a small, unguarded Varkesh shuttle. Hotwiring the craft, he escaped the clutches of the Varkesh fleet, setting a course back to Earth. His return journey was fraught with peril as he had to avoid Varkesh patrols and navigate through unstable space regions. Finally, after a harrowing journey, Marcus crash-landed on Earth near the headquarters of the Earth Defense Council. Barely surviving the crash but determined, he was met by General Vanessa Hart, a key figure in Earth's Strategic Military Command, who quickly debriefed him. Marcus relayed his harrowing experience, the imminent threat of the war beasts, and the Varkesh's plans for invasion. With Marcus's critical information, Earth could now prepare for what was to come. This first contact was not just a meeting of civilizations, but the beginning of humanity's greatest battle for survival. After his emergency debrief with General Vanessa Hart, Marcus was swiftly taken to a secure medical facility within the Earth Defense Council's headquarters. His injuries were minor, a testament to his resilience, but the psychological toll of his ordeal was clear. He was determined to ensure Earth was prepared for the Varkesh threat. Once cleared by medical staff, Marcus joined a high-level strategic meeting, filled with top military leaders and defense strategists. The room was tense, the air thick with anticipation and fear. Marcus, despite his fatigue, delivered a detailed report on his encounter with the Varkesh and the terrifying capabilities of the war beasts he had learned about during his captivity. These creatures, they're not just animals. They're engineered for maximum destruction, Marcus explained, his voice steady despite the gravity of his words. They're capable of tearing through our cities, decimating our forces before we even know what hit us. The Varkesh plan to use them as their first wave of attack, softening our defenses. General Hart, a stern woman known for her decisive nature, listened intently, her mind racing through various defense scenarios. "How soon before they reach us?" she asked, her voice betraying no hint of worry. "They're mobilizing. I'd say we have weeks, perhaps even less," Marcus responded, locking eyes with her to emphasize the urgency. The room erupted into murmurs of concern and strategic planning. Marcus's warning had galvanized the council into action. Emergency sessions were convened and a global alert was issued. Earth's disparate nations, often divided on many issues, found a common ground in their survival against the Varkesh threat. Marcus was appointed as a consultant due to his first-hand experience with the enemy. He worked closely with General Hart and her advisors to formulate a counter-strategy. They planned to fortify major cities, establish new protocols for civilian safety, and enhance their space monitoring systems to detect any incoming Varkesh ships or warbeast pods. As the news of the Varkesh threat spread, humanity's response was a blend of fear, anger, and resolve. Volunteer militias formed, scientists worked feverishly to develop new weapons, and propaganda campaigns rallied the populace to defend their planet. Meanwhile, Marcus, despite the whirlwind of meetings and planning sessions, took time to train with the special operations teams. These units would be crucial in the early stages of defense, particularly in neutralizing the warbeasts after they landed. His training sessions were brutal, focusing on urban warfare and close-quarters combat, preparing the soldiers for the chaos of fighting the beasts on the streets of their own cities. The world was on edge, waiting, as Marcus had once waited in the silent cold of a Varkesh cell. But this time, he was not alone in the dark. The entire planet stood ready, united by a common enemy. The warbeasts were coming, and Earth would be ready to face them head-on. The day the warbeasts descended upon Earth began like any other, with bustling cities unaware of the imminent chaos. Marcus stood on the rooftop of the Defense Council's headquarters, staring into the morning sky, his thoughts interrupted only by the urgent buzz of his communicator. It was General Hart. "It's happening," she said tersely. "New Shanghai. They've dropped the first pod." Marcus immediately sprang into action, coordinating with the local defense units through his communicator as he raced to the Situation Room. Screens flickered to life, showing live feeds from New Shanghai. The images were horrifying. A massive pod like some grotesque meteor had smashed into the heart of the city. From its shattered carcass, warbeasts surged forth, enormous quadruped creatures with razor-sharp talons and hideous armored hides that seemed to shrug off early attempts at gunfire. "Deploy the special ops teams. I'm heading there now," Marcus commanded, his voice cutting through the chaos of the command center. Boarding a rapid deployment military jet, Marcus and a team of elite soldiers flew towards the embattled city. As they approached, the scale of destruction became apparent. Skyscrapers were aflame, streets were overrun, and the air was filled with the screams of the terrified and the roar of the beasts. Marcus's team landed on a nearby rooftop, the city's skyline a stark backdrop to the devastation below. They rappelled down into the chaos, Marcus leading the charge. His training and natural leadership shone through as he directed his team through the city's ravaged streets, rescuing civilians trapped in the carnage and engaging the beasts with newly developed weaponry designed to penetrate their tough hides. Each encounter with the warbeasts was a brutal struggle for survival. Marcus's team employed guerrilla tactics, using the city's debris and ruined structures as cover. They laid traps using high-intensity explosives and fired armor-piercing rounds, slowly learning and adapting to the beast's behavior and anatomy. Amidst the chaos, Marcus saved a group of schoolchildren cornered by one of the beasts, showcasing his relentless bravery. The fight was harsh and personal. Each saved life felt like a minor victory against the overwhelming darkness. As the day wore on, more pods fell across the globe, each one unleashing terror. But the response grew more coordinated and determined. Marcus's actions in New Shanghai became a template for other units worldwide. His helmet cam footage, streamed back to command centers around the world, provided crucial data on the beast's weaknesses and tactics. By the time night fell on New Shanghai, the city was devastated but not defeated. Marcus and his team, though exhausted, had managed to clear several sectors, setting up safe zones and rallying points for survivors. The battle was far from over, but humanity had not bowed. The warbeasts were learning just as much about human resilience as Marcus was learning to combat them. Back at headquarters, General Hart watched the last of the day's feeds, her face grim but proud. "Make no mistake, this is just the beginning," she told her aides. "But today we've shown that we can fight. Prepare for tomorrow. We continue at dawn." The day ended with the world in a state of shock, but ignited by the fire of human courage and determination. The warbeasts had brought destruction, but they had also awakened a united human spirit ready to defend its home against any threat. As the initial shock of the beastfall settled, humanity's strategy evolved. The war against the warbeasts was unlike any conflict Earth had faced before. Traditional military tactics had limited effectiveness against such a ferocious enemy, so Marcus spearheaded a shift towards guerrilla warfare, leveraging what humans knew best: adaptation and resilience. In the weeks following the beast fall, Marcus, now nicknamed Beastbane by his peers, traveled from one hotspot to another, sharing his experiences and training other units in effective guerrilla tactics. His approach was simple yet revolutionary. Use the cities themselves as weapons. Marcus's plan involved converting damaged infrastructure into traps and strongholds. Energy grids were rigged to create lethal barriers. Subway tunnels became explosive traps. High-rise buildings, structurally compromised but still standing, were set to collapse on the approaching beasts. This urban labyrinth turned into a deadly playground for the human defenders. In Buenos Aires, Marcus led a team that lured several beasts into an abandoned factory district. The area had been pre-rigged with explosives and chemical agents that could burn through the beast's tough skin. As the creatures ambushed, snipers positioned on surrounding buildings provided cover, while ground teams maneuvered the beasts into the kill zone. The operation was bloody and brutal, but it ended with a significant victory, with minimal human casualties and several beasts eliminated. News of the success in Buenos Aires spread quickly, bolstering morale and providing a blueprint for other cities facing similar sieges. Marcus's tactics were disseminated through military channels, and soon urban centers worldwide were transforming into death traps for the beasts. However, the Varkesh were not idle. Learning from their beasts' encounters, they began adapting their tactics, deploying different types of beasts, each with unique abilities. Some were smaller, faster, able to navigate the traps more cleverly. Others were equipped with biological weaponry, like acid-spitting glands, that could disrupt human defenses from a distance. Faced with these new challenges, Marcus's approach had to evolve. He worked closely with scientists and engineers to innovate new defenses. Drone technology was adapted to carry out surveillance and execute precision strikes without risking human lives. Biotechnologists developed new chemical compounds that could degrade the beasts' armored skins or disrupt their nervous systems. Each encounter became a deadly game of chess, with Marcus and the Earth's defenders continually adapting and innovating to counter the Varkesh's evolving strategies. These battles, though localized, had a profound impact, as they not only saved lives but also provided valuable data on the enemy, contributing to the overall war effort. Amidst this ongoing guerrilla warfare, Marcus maintained a relentless training regimen for his troops, emphasizing adaptability and quick thinking. "Expect the unexpected," he would say during his briefings, a mantra that became the guiding principle for all who fought under him. As months turned into a year, the landscape of Earth's cities changed. What were once bustling metropolises had transformed into fortified war zones, scarred by battle but standing resilient against the alien onslaught. Humanity's ability to adapt and fight in the face of extinction was proving to be its greatest strength. As Earth's defenders grew more adept at guerrilla warfare, the key to a significant shift in the war lay in the synthesis of technology and biology. Marcus had been working closely with a team of top scientists at a secure research facility, pushing the boundaries of what was possible in the fight against the war beasts. Their breakthrough came in the form of a bioengineered virus specifically tailored to target the genetic makeup of the war beasts. The virus, codenamed Nemesis, was designed to be harmless to humans but deadly to the beasts. It attacked their nervous systems, paralyzing them and eventually leading to systemic failure. This biological weapon was a gamble. It required close-range deployment, and there was always the risk of the Varkesh countering it if they discovered its nature too early. Marcus volunteered to lead the first team to deploy Nemesis. Equipped with specialized delivery drones and backed by a unit of elite soldiers, they targeted a group of war beasts that had besieged Denver. The operation was risky. The drones had to be flown directly into the beasts' vicinity without being destroyed. As the drones buzzed towards their targets, releasing clouds of viral agents, Marcus and his team held off the beasts' attacks. The scene was tense, with every moment critical. Slowly, signs of the virus's effects began to show. Some of the beasts staggered, their movements becoming erratic. Others collapsed, their bodies shutting down. The success of the Denver operation was a turning point. News of the victory spread rapidly, and the Nemesis virus was mass-produced and distributed to various fronts around the globe. This new weapon allowed human forces to reclaim territories, pushing the beasts back with each encounter. However, victory was not without its costs. The Varkesh responded with ferocity, increasing their assaults and attempting to adapt their war beasts against the effects of Nemesis. Marcus, ever the strategist, anticipated this and coordinated with scientific teams to modify Nemesis, staying one step ahead of the enemy's adaptations. The war had entered a new phase, with the balance now tipping in humanity's favor. Cities began to pulse with hope as areas were cleared of beasts and reconstruction efforts slowly started. Civilians who had been living under constant threat started to see a future where Earth might once again be their own. In this time of tentative recovery, Marcus's leadership became a beacon of hope. His relentless drive and innovative tactics not only saved countless lives, but also exemplified the best of human ingenuity and resilience. The Varkesh, driven by desperation and the fear of losing their foothold on Earth, launched a full-scale offensive. This was their final attempt to reclaim their dominance, and it would take place in one of Earth's most iconic locations, the Grand Canyon. The area's unique terrain made it a strategic choke point, ideal for a decisive battle. Marcus, aware of the symbolic and strategic importance of this location, prepared his forces for what would be the fiercest confrontation yet. The morning of the battle, Marcus stood overlooking the canyon, the early light casting long shadows across the rugged landscape. His forces were positioned strategically along the rim and within the canyon itself, hidden among the natural fortifications. The air was tense with anticipation. Every soldier knew the importance of the coming battle. As the Varkesh fleet approached, the sky darkened with their ships. War beasts alongside Varkesh warriors began to descend into the canyon. The battle commenced with a ferocity that shook the earth. Marcus led his troops with a calm determination, moving between positions, coordinating the defense efforts, and ensuring the Nemesis virus was deployed effectively. The Varkesh were relentless, but the human defenders held their ground. Explosions echoed through the canyon as traps set by Marcus's team were triggered, causing rock slides and chaos among the invading forces. Snipers took out key targets and ground troops engaged in brutal close-quarters combat. Marcus himself was in the thick of it, fighting alongside his men, his leadership inspiring bravery and tenacity. As the battle reached its climax, Marcus spotted the Varkesh commander, General Krasnok, directing his forces from a command pod. Seizing the moment, Marcus led a small team on a daring mission to take the commander out, believing that his fall would demoralize the Varkesh and sway the battle in humanity's favor. Navigating the chaotic battlefield, Marcus and his team reached the command pod. A fierce confrontation ensued, with Marcus facing Krasnok in a tense one-on-one duel. Utilizing both his combat skills and his deep knowledge of Varkesh tactics, Marcus managed to outmaneuver and fatally wound Krasnok. As the alien commander fell, the tide of the battle turned dramatically. With their leader down, the Varkesh forces wavered, and the human troops pressed their advantage. Encouraged by Marcus's success, they rallied and mounted a vigorous counterattack, pushing the Varkesh back, inflicting heavy casualties. The battle raged for hours, but as the sun began to set over the Grand Canyon, it was clear that the humans had won. Exhausted but elated, Marcus and his troops celebrated their victory, knowing they had secured Earth's freedom from the Varkesh threat. In the days following the monumental victory at the Grand Canyon, Earth began the slow process of recovery and reflection. Cities once under siege started to rebuild, and the global community, unified by their shared struggle, worked together to heal the wounds of war. Marcus, hailed as a hero, found himself at the center of this new world, a symbol of human resilience and courage. Marcus took on a new role, advising Earth's leaders on security and defense. His experiences on the front lines, coupled with his strategic insights, were invaluable as humanity sought to strengthen its defenses against future threats. The war beasts, once a terrifying threat, were studied by scientists to ensure that Earth would be prepared if the Varkesh or any other hostile forces ever threatened their world again. The reconstruction efforts were vast and varied. In cities like New Shanghai and Buenos Aires, where Marcus had fought fiercely against the war beasts, monuments were erected not only to commemorate the fallen, but also to celebrate the spirit of those who had defended their homes so valiantly. Marcus often visited these sites, speaking to survivors and sharing stories of bravery and sacrifice, ensuring that the lessons of the war were not forgotten. Amidst these responsibilities, Marcus found time for personal reflection. He visited the Grand Canyon, now a sacred site of victory and loss. Standing at the edge, looking over the vast expanse, he contemplated the cost of their victory. So many lives had been lost, So many had sacrificed everything to ensure the survival of humanity. It was a heavy burden, but Marcus felt honored to carry it, knowing that their efforts had saved countless others. The Varkesh, significantly weakened by their defeat, had retreated to the fringes of the solar system. Diplomatic efforts were underway to ensure that no further conflicts would arise. Marcus was involved in these negotiations, providing a unique perspective that balanced strength with a deep-seated desire for peace. As Earth continued to heal, Marcus's story became the subject of films, books, and documentaries. He was reluctant about his fame but understood that his story inspired hope and determination, a reminder to all of humanity of their potential when united against a common enemy. Years later, at a ceremony commemorating the anniversary of the battle, Marcus stood before a crowd in New Shanghai, the skyline behind him beautifully restored. He spoke not of war, but of peace and the future. Let us remember the lessons we have learned, the strength we found within ourselves, and the bonds we forged in the heat of battle. Our unity was our greatest weapon. As we look to the stars, let us not seek conquest but cooperation. We must explore, learn, and grow together, as one people dedicated not just to the survival of humanity, but to the thriving of all life. With these words, Marcus continued to lead, not through battles, but through his enduring vision of a united and peaceful humanity. The war had changed him, as it had changed the world, but the future was bright with promise, guided by the lessons of the past and the ceaseless spirit of a resilient Earth.